Well, when we work with landowners, what we're trying to do is educate the landowners to be able to identify pine beetle infested trees. And the things that you look for are these pitch tubes. These are actually sap that the tree's pushed out trying to drown the beetle as it goes into the tree. And you're going to see these popcorns or these sap extrusions all over the base part of the tree. You can see that we have them here. The other thing is we have what we call frass, which is this layer of sawdust that the beetle has kicked out as he chewed into a tree. So the frass around the base of the tree and the popcorns are both going to be indications that the tree is infested with beetles. And the problem is that once the beetles attack the tree, they carry in a blue stain fungus, and the blue stain fungus is inoculated into the water conducting tissues of the tree. And what it does is it plugs up the xylem of the tree, and it's no longer able to get water from its roots. And so in the springtime what we'll see is these trees that have beetles in them, the foliage is going to start changing from orange from green to a light green to a yellow to an orange and eventually to a red. And that's another indication in the springtime of the trees that have beetles infested in them. So this is what we're really trying to get landowners to do, is go out on their own property, cruise through their own property, identify those trees that have beetle in them, and then know that they're there and they can take care of them in the springtime. What the natural defense of the tree is to drown the beetle in sap. So as the beetle starts digging into the tree, chewing into the tree, the tree's reaction is to start pumping resin, pumping sap, and push the beetle out and drown the beetle in sap. And that's what creates these pitch tubes. You can look at these hits, and some of them you can see the sawdust that's in the impregnated in the sap, and that's an indication that the beetles were able to get through and into the tree. And we can peel back bark and show you what it looks like underneath the bark. Here you can see the gallery. This is where the beetle has gone in, and it's creating a gallery underneath the bark and laying its eggs to the side. So, and you can see that they're a very small insect. They're about the size of a kitchen match head. And so even though they're very small, they still end up causing a great deal of harm to the trees. And they actually have it's interesting, they have a antifreeze that builds up in their body so they can withstand severe cold. And they build up that antifreeze through the fall period, and then by December they're pretty well immune to extreme cold. So our window of opportunity to have Mother Nature help us is to have a 20 below freeze for about 2 weeks in November. And if you have that kind of a freeze, then it will damage or sometimes completely destroy the beetle population. That's actually what happened in 1984 on Casper Mountain. We had a beetle epidemic in the early 80s and had a freeze of 20 below for 2 weeks in November, and it killed the whole beetle population, essentially knocked out the whole beetle epidemic up here until 20 years later when we're seeing it again. Probably something to add is that it's very important, if you're going to control the beetles, these trees have to be cut down and covered in plastic doing the solar treatment usually by the 4th of July, no later than the second week in August, because what we're seeing is the beetles start flying in the second week of August. So ideally, trees are cut down, they're treated, and you've done your direct control by the 4th of July. The experts are going to tell you that direct control doesn't work, because the experts are usually people that are looking at national forests and they're dealing with hundreds of thousands or millions of acres. On Casper Mountain it's different, because Casper Mountain is mostly privately owned. We are able to, if the landowners take the initiative, they can handle the problem on their property. And we've essentially proved that, because we had a mountain pine beetle problem since about 1998 on Casper Mountain. It was in the early period, it was on the face of the mountain in the ponderosa pine lower down towards the foot of the mountain. And State Forestry's Forester Brian Anderson would go out every spring, and he would walk the whole face of the Casper Mountain and identify those trees, and then he and I would work together to contact landowners and get them to cut and treat those trees. Well, today we've got the face of Casper Mountain, we've lost trees, but we haven't lost all the trees, and that was done due to direct control. And so we think that with landowners working the way those landowners did, we should be able to contain this on top and be able to minimize our loss of trees.